Trump criticizes the church service is not good. Y'all seen that? But the bishop is trying to get her moment, making sure that he or she, I don't know what their pronouns are, did an interview on CNN to explain exactly what they were doing when they were petitioning Trump to have mercy on illegals and to acknowledge the LGBTQ and the gay community. Let's continue.
Tonight, a bishop takes on Trump and pleads with him face to face to, quote, have mercy. The Episcopal Bishop of Washington pleading with President Trump to show compassion towards undocumented immigrants and the LGBTQ community today. A dramatic moment coming during her sermon at today's National Prayer Service. I'm going to speak to the bishop in just a moment, but first, so everyone can understand exactly what happened, I want to play for you the moment and show you at the same time on the screen the president's reaction.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people.
And then she gonna throw God in there. In the name of our God. In the name of our God. What God you serve? Because this ain't the God of Job and Abraham and Isaac. This ain't them. This ain't the God of Paul. This ain't none of them. Real talk. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. This ain't the God of them.
In our country, we're scared now.
All right, Reverend Marianne Edgar Buddy, the bishop at Washington National Cathedral, is now out front. And Bishop, I appreciate your time.
Hey, somebody tell me that's out in Washington. The Washington National Cathedral Church. Tell me if they got a rainbow flag out there too. That's all I want to know. Tell me if they got a rainbow flag. Let's get into it.
And your tone there, so serious and genuine. You see him, he's stone-faced, he then looks down, but he's listening to every word you say. As you made that personal plea to him, what were you looking at him in that moment? What kind of response were you perhaps hoping for in that moment?
I was looking at the president because I was speaking directly to him. I was also, frankly, as you do in every sermon, speaking to everyone who was listening through that one-on-one conversation with the president, reminding us all that in the people that are frightened in our country, the two groups of people that I mentioned are our fellow human beings, and that they have been portrayed in all throughout the political campaign in the harshest of lights that I wanted to counter as gently as I could with a reminder of their humanity and their place in our wider community. And I was speaking to the president because I felt that he has this moment now where he feels charged and empowered to do what he feels called to do. And I wanted to say, you know, there is room for mercy. There's room for a broader compassion. We don't need to portray with a broad cloth in the harshest of terms some of the most vulnerable people in our society who are, in fact, our neighbors, our friends, our children, our friends' children, and so forth.
So
the church should not be inclusive. The church should be exclusive. The real church should not be inclusive. It should be exclusive. Exclusively for those that choose to do the Lord's work. Now, nobody said that you had to be perfect when you came in. But the point and the fact of the matter is we should not be tolerant of anything just because you said that we need to plead to somebody's humanity. That's not how the game works. That's how you start getting sassy people leading choir service. That's how you start getting people to vote on who they think should be the leader of the church instead of who was ordained and chosen by God to be the leader. That's how you start seeing a remixing of the scripture and word salad, and why you start seeing church leaders on the pulpits and people like Fonnie Willis and Kamala Harris up there while at the same time espousing some of the most evil and hateful things that we know is not good for society or best for our children. The church should not be inclusive. You can't just do anything you want to do when you come in here. Now, nobody said that you had to be all the way right or perfect or that you was without sin. But the point is that you're going to respect the rules and the regulations by which we go about doing things in here. You're not going to be disrespectful. You're not going to bully us. You're not going to tell us what we can do. And this is one of the problems with the church is that people walk away from the church because there are no rules. And the church has now become more demonic in most instances for a lot of these places than being out on the street every day. The church should not be inclusive. I just said it, and I said it with my chest, and I said it 3 different times. What part of it didn't you hear? It's exclusive, meaning that you have to meet certain expectations when you come in here. You're not going to be throwing around your little cock talking about, I want to marry a man. And then I'm forcing you as a bishop or a preacher or a reverend to acknowledge me marrying another man. I don't have to acknowledge anything. That goes against the rules of the book of the Bible. And if it does not abide by the word of God, the living word, then I am not going to sit here and accommodate you in your sin. It didn't say that we had to accommodate you in your sin. It said that we had to drive the devil out. I don't have to accommodate you in your sin. I don't have to justify your bad behavior. Who told you that? Who told you that? What's wrong with y'all? Where we at? What we doing? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. We're not driving away your humanity. We live in the United States of America where I truly believe in freedom of speech and freedom to do what you want to do as long as it's not against the law. But that don't mean that I have to accept it in my household and accommodate you. I think you should be able to go to work and do what you got to do to feed your family. And you can bust down or get bust down by who you want to as long as you're not doing something against a little kid. That is on you. That is your business. I love this country that we have freedom of choice. But it's not going to be freedom from consequences. It's not freedom of consequences. And so that's going to be between you and God. I don't have to have mercy on you because I don't have a heaven and hell to put you in. So don't ask for my grace. Grace is for God, not for me. The only thing that God required me to do is to be obedient and to forgive. I don't have to have grace on you, and I don't have to have mercy on you. Let me say it again for the people in the back. I don't have to accommodate your sin. I don't have to have grace on you. I don't have to have mercy on you. I don't have a heaven or hell to put you in. That is for God. Grace and mercy is for him, not for me. He said to forgive and to ask for forgiveness according to how you forgive other people, treat people and deal with people and issue forgiveness according to how you want to be forgiven. That's what the word says. I don't have to play that game with you. I don't have to watch you kiss your boyfriend, you and your man kissing your boyfriend and you sitting on my couch. Get out my house. Get out my house. I don't have to play that game with you. I don't have to accommodate you. And more importantly, these are people, these illegal migrants that's inside of this country, these are people that are in this country creating havoc, wreaking havoc, taking advantage of taxpayers, and doing some of the most egregious things and crimes against some of the very citizens that pay for the taxes for them to be here. I don't have to play that game with you. I don't have to play that game with you.
So you spoke. I like how you use the word gently because it was gentle. I mean, it was intense and passionate, but yet it was gentle. It was not ugly or confrontational. It wouldn't expect it to be, but these are hard things to talk about in that context. You spoke obviously about undocumented migrants, also the LGBT community, the two communities you're talking about. I wanted to play a little bit more of what you said, and also again the president's reaction at that moment.
There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. The vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away.
What made you decide to say all that today?
Well, these are the people that I know. These
Of course
are not
you do.
abstract
You look
people
like you know them. You look like you know them. Of course you know them.
for me. These are actual people that I know.
No cursing in the chat. I will not say it again. I already banned one person for being egregious with the disrespect for the cursing. This is a family show, and we do not tolerate disrespect for other people's family members. You can have your opinion. You can say what you want. You will be timed out if you are overly aggressive with your cursing and trying to be disrespectful inside of the chat. We are tolerant of people with different views. We invite you to have a different view and a different opinion because I don't agree 100% with what I said yesterday sometimes. But you will not be disrespectful, and I will have the mods time you out if you out here being crazy.
So I wanted to speak on their behalf. I wanted to present a vision of what unity can look like in this country that is transcending of differences and viewpoints and acknowledging our common humanity.
Yes.
I wanted to speak in such a way that reflected that dignity and respect, but I also wanted to bring into that space the real humanity of the people that I was referencing.
Now, he was asked about that because obviously there were cameras in there. People saw that interaction and they saw it. He was asked about your service afterward, and here's what he said.
Not too exciting, was it? I didn't think it was a good service, no. They could do much better.
From him, honestly, Bishop, it's tame. He could have said much. He could have been much stronger than that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
obviously, he made he made his feelings known in that context. But we know, right? He'll say what he thinks, and he could have said much more. What's your response to him in that?
Well, I agree with you. It was a very muted response. I wasn't expecting. I keep my expectations low whenever I preach, Aaron. I can't always measure impact by body language or even what people say afterwards. And so I have to let all of that go. I speak from what I believe I've been given to say and let it go from there. But it was a respectful response. He didn't like it. He said so. He said we could do better. Some of the other comments I've received haven't been as kind or has been as...
Yeah, shut up. Somebody said we need to pull up Trump's tweets, responses to it. Well, let's go ahead and do it. Let's see if we can find those. I think that Fox had showed those. CNN will refuse to always show those, but let's get into what he said over at Fox.
Clear. He said the so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. She failed to mention the large number of illegal immigrants that came into our country and killed people. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It's a giant crime wave that is taking part in the USA. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was very boring and uninspiring. She is not very good at her job. She and her church owe the public an apology.
Facts, and this is why I love my president. I haven't loved having a president that speak their mind that's a true representation of masculinity and what we stand for as a people in a long time. I'm so happy to be an American. When is the last time that you can say I'm happy to be an American? That I'm happy to be in America, that I am excited for what we are experiencing and that we got somebody that stand on business, call a strike, call a ball, and call a foul. I am very, very excited about what this looks like, and I'm very thankful that we have a president that stand on business. Listen to what he said. He says the so-called bishop, meaning that it's a lot of people that's pretending to be a part of the church, to be a bishop, And not everybody is called by God, but they're going to call themselves to the pulpit. And that's fine. We'll rock with that. But the so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left, hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. Facts. Everything that he's saying is facts. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. My father always used to tell me, Anton, he said, Anton, make sure that everything you do and everything that you say is conducive. I always used to question him. And he would just leave it at that and he would just walk away. And when I got older and he was still preaching that same message, and I said, what do you mean by making it conducive? He said, Anton, does it serve a purpose or does it serve to divide? Is what you saying the truth? I said, yeah. He said, okay, good. He said, are you saying it the right way? I said, I'm not so sure. He said, think about that. He said, and then what's the end result? What's the end goal? I said, well, the end goal is to make sure that we save souls or to get people to convert or to get people to think differently about their decisions. He said, but if you're just doing it and driving people away for the sake of arguing, what's the purpose? If you knew that it wouldn't yield results, but you just wanted to say something to get your thoughts off, even if it was true, and it turned out to be offensive or it turned out to be against the best interests of the people that you were talking to, what purpose did it serve? If you can't convince people or you can't drive people to do the right thing, even if it offends them first and then they think about it later, if all it does is just cause chaos and havoc, and you still might be wrong, you may want to rethink whether or not you want to say it. If it's not conducive, it doesn't make sense. That's what having a strong masculine father does for you in your life. He says she was nasty in tone, not compelling or smart. She failed to mention the large number of illegal migrants that came into our country and killed people. All facts. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It is a giant crime wave that is taking place in America. And anybody that has ever visited Portland or Seattle or Chicago or Los Angeles or in a lot of these different cities inside of California or New York or any of these other liberal cities such as Denver and New Mexico, if you visited any of the places that some of the densely populated locations and seen some of the atrocities and the things that people suffer through on a regular basis, then you would probably have a difference of opinion as far as saying that, oh, have mercy on these people. Why would I have mercy? Or why would he then say have mercy on a group of people that's causing all of the havoc inside of the United States of America? Absolutely not. They need to pay for their crimes. They need to be accountable for their actions. And they need to go back to their country that they came from. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was very boring and uninspiring one. She is not very good at her job. Facts. She and her church owe the public an apology. All facts. Can we get a round of applause for the masculinity in Trump? I love it. I absolutely, positively love it. Greatest president of all time. Quite possibly the greatest president of all time.